last 6 home games and then continued that winning streak, won their first 7 at home this year, including beating Seattle along the way. That was win number 12 in the consecutive home win streak for the Sun. They eventually made it 13 straight wins before the Minnesota Lynx came in and became the only road team to win so far this season in this building. And we are underway. Glad to have you along on a Friday night from the Mohegan. Seattle controls the ball first. She's been hot from 3. Sammy Wickham misses that first shot of the game. And here come the Sun. Breast Health Awareness Weekend at the Mohegan Sun. So you see the pink striping down the sides of the Connecticut Sun uniforms. There's the trap. Williams having a little trouble with that trap. And took a while, and they call it the jump ball, but you could see that coming.
And that's what Seattle does. You're aware that they're going to trap you on the perimeter, and especially when you have a player like 6'6" Mercedes Russell with those long arms, it makes it very difficult for the guard to see through.
So if the Sun do win this tip, they'll only have 7 to shoot. It'll be Shavante Zealous, who got the start tonight. Jewel Lloyd now coming off of the bench. She injured her ankle back on June 25th as the ball gets knocked out of bounds, and it'll belong to the Sun. So Lloyd coming off the bench now for Seattle, and of course they continue to play, as we mentioned in the open. No news here, no Bird, no Brianna Stewart, and you know what? They're right in the middle of the playoff race.
And tonight, Jordan Canada is dressed, but she also coming off of the bench because of a shoulder injury she's dealing with.
Jasmine Thomas misfires. Canada didn't play last time in the Mohegan Sun because of a bone bruise in her knee. Howard lines it up, long distance, misfiring. Here comes the Sun trying to break the seal on this game. 1 minute gone by, still waiting for the first points. Thomas works off the Jones screen. Jones rolls beautifully to the hoop and lays it through. Sun on the board first.
Great recognition of the switch. Alicia Clark, a smaller defender, switch on to Jonquel Jones, and she posts up inside. That's what Kurt Miller wants to see, her establishing herself in the paint.
Wickham threw it over the head of Zealous, so a turnover on the Seattle Storm, who force more turnovers than any team in the league. That's their game. But they're guilty of the turnover here that gives the ball to Connecticut early in the first quarter as the Sun begin a 3-game homestand. Jones takes it in the blocks, kick out, extra pass. Strickland straightaway 3, little too strong. Rebound, Thomas put back is good. Nice follow-up, and the Sun have a 4-0 lead.
Great ball movement on that possession. They got a good shot, good offensive rebound, but I think Kurt Miller would like to have seen Jonquel Jones take that little right-handed hook when she got the ball with 2 feet in the paint.
Well, Jones poked it loose there, and the Sun have it back as Williams fires a bullet pass to Strickland, and Strickland lays it in. 6-0 Connecticut. Seattle's coming off a loss down to D.C. the other night. They got outscored 29-8 in the fourth quarter of that game. They're off to a slow start here tonight. Howard having trouble with the pass. Now regathers and takes a broken play, Rebecca, and turns it into the first bucket of the night for Seattle.
That's one of the things that makes her dangerous. Usually it's the guards that can break a play and make something out of it. Well, she's a big who can do that.
Oh, nice touch there from Melissa Thomas. She has 4 quick points. The Sun lead it by 6, and another turnover. Courtney Williams, free safety position, picks it off, gets it back. There's the trap again. Bounces to Alyssa, and here's Strickland. Good look for a 3. She thought it was going down, but it rims in and out, and Russell has the rebound, and the Storm try to settle down here.
Turnovers hurt Seattle in their last loss to Washington as well, and they were kind of like the turnovers we've seen here. A little bit unforced, uncharacteristic of his team.
Zealous for Howard, launches a 3. Right back to Zealous, swishes it home. (8-4) Connecticut, just underway from the Mohegan as Jasmine Thomas gives for Alyssa Thomas. at Russell. Fires it up a little too hard, and Whitcomb has the rebound. Whitcomb lost the handle there, and Howard was there to pick it back up. And so it'll be a Connecticut foul stopping play here.
Sammy Whitcomb does not take a lot of two-pointers. Her bread is buttered outside of the three-point line. And nice job by Natasha Howard to get in. It's her first whistle, though, isn't it?
Yeah, took a while. Alyssa Thomas on the foul, and here's Natasha Howard, who had 24 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, 4 steals against Washington. She led her team in every one of those categories. First player in the history of the Seattle Storm to lead her team in a given game.
In all of those. And think about the players that have been there. Sue
Right.
Bird, Lauren Jackson.
Yeah. Well, Seattle back in this game after a slow start. Thomas in traffic. She'll go to the line to shoot a pair.
Jasmine Thomas is so good at driving to the paint, especially going to her right side. Absorbs the contact from Clark and getting to the line.
So Clark the foul. Here's Thomas on the line. Jasmine coming off an 18-point game. And the win at Phoenix on Wednesday, that was her best scoring game of the road trip. In fact, she had been hot for the Sun. 5 games before the trip, she was averaging 15 per game, and then had 22 total points in the first 3 games of that trip. You did the broadcast on Wednesday in Phoenix. She looked good in that one.
It wasn't just the 18 points, the sum total of what she did. It was when she got them. When Phoenix was making a run in the fourth quarter, a couple times Jasmine Thomas took the ball to the bucket and made baskets that Connecticut desperately needed.
Boy, a lot of turnovers early against Seattle. That is their 4th. The Sun have the 4-point lead as Thomas accelerates down the lane. Kick out. Strickland tries again. Off the mark again. So she has missed her first 3-point attempt. Sun still have the 4-point lead. Howard takes it from Zealous. Beautiful feed for Russell. Couldn't finish. That was a great setup, but the Seattle Storm come away empty, and here's Thomas stutter stepping at Clark. Scooped it up, missed it. Crowd thought there was contact. It's a 5-on-4, and Clark at 3, rims out. Sun push ahead. Courtney Williams, extra pass Strickland again. This time she cashes in on her 4th 3-point attempt of the night. Shakina Strickland finally knocks one down. The Sun by 7. Hung and dropped out, and Howard's right there to pull it down. Whistle on the far side of the floor. And, well, we'll sort it out when we come back, because that will bring us to a timeout. Well, the 4th time turns into the charm for Shakina Strickland. Knocks down to 3, the Sun by 7. Well, evidently there was some kind of a clock malfunction that led to that last abbreviated timeout. We're back, and Clark puts up a 3 and puts it through.
Alicia Clark has always been a terrific defender in this league, and this year her offense in particular has really caught up to what she brings on the defensive end of the floor.
Well, she leads the league in three-point percentage, now over 50% on the air, and there's an easy 2 for Alicia Clark, and just like that, Seattle back in this game. One-point Sun advantage. Shot clock inside 10. And Thomas drives hard, puts it through. Sun by 3. She has 6.
Beautiful pass by Jasmine Thomas. There was a lot of limbs in the lane that she made that ball go through.
Ball poked loose, and it's going to be a breakaway. Easy 2 for Jasmine Thomas. Connecticut defense leading the offense.
Connecticut plays with such great energy when they're in this building.
They truly do feed off of the crowd. Another big crowd on hand here tonight. And as we take another timeout, it's the Sun by 6. Alyssa Thomas is off to a good start in this game, Rebecca. She has 6 points to lead all scorers in the game, and she's just doing what she does on a night in and night out basis. Sometimes she scores, sometimes she's working the glass. She's everywhere on the floor.
Tough defensive presence as well, and what you can't really quantify is the impact she has because of her ability at the forward position to get the defensive board and initiate the break herself. That's one of her best attributes, is being a facilitating forward.
And there is Alyssa Thomas on the steal. Jewel Lloyd has just checked into the game, and Alyssa Thomas picks her pocket.
Kurt Miller was talking to us before the game. You know, this team flew back from Phoenix yesterday. They had a shoot-around today. They're in the midst of a stretch where they're going to play 5 games in 10 days. And he said, you know, not a lot of prep for this game. This is a game where effort and intensity will be as important as strategy. Their effort and intensity has been stellar so far this first quarter.
And you made the point going into break how they really feed off of this home crowd. Nice block underneath as Thomas had it rejected. The Sun 11-1 inside the Mohegan as Russell takes the pass underneath. Makes it a 4-point game.
I always like seeing the big girl get rewarded for running the floor. 6'6" Mercedes Russell.
Sammy Whitcomb set her up, and answering at the other end off of the bench, Bria Holmes. And the Connecticut bench will be a big factor in this game.
How about the way Bria Holmes has stepped up her game since the early part of July?
Of course, her first year as a Sun after last year out on maternity leave. And Kurt Miller said the thing that he had to do with Bria Holmes is actually calm her down a little bit. She was working so hard to get back. And, of course, she had to get more acclimated with the system. But as you can see, for that last graphic, her production has really been outstanding. She has become really the premier player off of the bench for Connecticut.
And she's a difficult player to defend because of her ability to hit threes and also the pressure she puts on you when she drives to the basket.
Well, Kurt didn't like it. You already heard what the crowd thought of that last loose ball foul call. You get a look.
Up into Mercedes' body there. And, you know, this game has been relatively clean, not a lot of fouls being called, but for people who watch the WNBA know that last Saturday that there was a fight in the Dallas at Phoenix game, and since that time, I feel like the officials have been calling it closer, a little bit quicker with the whistles, as is understandable after an event like that.
Of course, that fight involved the woman who was traded for the person who's checking in right now. Christina Nigwe got into a fight with Brittany Griner. Well, Nigwe, the former member of the Sun, traded for Teresa Plaisance, who's just checked into the game. And we're happy to see her because if you missed our open, we mentioned the fact that she's dealing with a little bit of a back issue. And Kurt Miller wasn't sure if she'd be able to go tonight. We're happy to see her out there making her Connecticut Sun home debut. Thomas, a 3.
Nice try by Rachel Bannon, but that wasn't happening. Oh, no.
And player down at the other end as Mosqueda Lewis misfires.
Connecticut needs to take a foul so that they can get the trainer out on the floor.
It's 5-on-4. Lloyd misses. Plaisance grabs the rebound. And it's Rachel Banham who is down. And you don't like the way that looked from the outset. because she immediately went for her knee. Let's take another look.
You applaud her for being in there with all the bigs and. Oh. I couldn't tell if she was grabbing at her knee or at her ankle.
Yeah, I initially said knee, but you're absolutely right. There's no real way of telling exactly what the issue was, but clearly in some discomfort, and will have to be held back to the locker room. The Connecticut Sun have been one of the more fortunate teams in the league this year when it comes to injuries. Bantam very gingerly walking off the floor, and yeah, it looks like Rebecca, she went for her ankle. I don't know if we get one more look at that replay. You hope that it was ankle, she's stepping on.
I don't want one more look at the replay. As a player who's torn her ACL twice,
yeah.
And I always, because of my history with my ACLs, I'm always relieved a little bit when a player grabs their ankle instead of their knee. So,
right.
Of course.
Well, hoping it is,
yeah.
The ankle, and hopefully she rolled it. But
yeah.
You never know until we get the official update. But we just hope that Rachel Bantam manages to dodge anything serious there, as Thomas gives it for Jasmine Thomas. Ball poked loose. It's free, and Natasha Howard comes away with it. Mosqueda Lewis, a two-pointer for her, and off of the miss, gets knocked out of bounds. Stays at the Seattle end as we're winding it down here in the first quarter. Sun had never trailed. We've led by as many as 8. 6-point lead here as Seattle will set up with 14 to shoot. Blake Dietrich in the game now, and that was Jewel Lloyd lining one up from distance. Three-pointer makes this make that a two-pointer, makes it a 4-point Sun lead.
Yeah, Kurt Miller and the team recognizing this is the matchup they want. Mosqueda Lewis on Bria Holmes. Try to exploit it.
Clock winding down. Thomas knows it. 1 second to go. And the quarter comes to an end, and Sun never trailed in that quarter, and they'll take a 4-point lead into this end of quarter break. Alyssa Thomas had a great first quarter, 2 of her 8. Game 1 of a 3-game homestand for the Connecticut Sun, and we're at the end of one. The Sun and the defending champion Seattle Storm. Connecticut by 4. We are trying to get an update. Maybe a little while yet before we have any word at all on Rachel Bantam, who left late in that first quarter with a leg injury. We should know soon enough if she's not going to be able to return tonight. Hopefully we do get an encouraging update, though. As the Sun inbound and the shot clock winding down. Morgan Tuck.
Yeah. That was a switch situation where Jewel Lloyd ended up on Teresa Plaisance and clearly displaced her in the post. It's a good call by the officials. See a couple players on the floor for Connecticut right now that I think could be vital in terms of their quest for a championship, and Morgan Tuck is one of them. If she can really consistently hit her three-point shot, she brings an added element to the 4 position that Alyssa Thomas does not have.
The Seattle Storm going with all reserves with the exception of Howard. Blake Dietrich. There's the veteran Crystal Langhorne spinning on Plaisance. And then the foul is committed. There's some fancy footwork there from the veteran Langhorne.
I tell you what, until the reach at the end, that was pretty good, solid defense by Teresa Plaisance. I mean, this is a 6'5" player moving her feet. Just don't reach in there, and she'll have done a solid defensive job, especially since Jasmine Thomas was coming over to help. And we talk about the trade. What Teresa Plaisance brings that Connecticut did not have was a big off of the bench to spell Jonquel Jones, who can make 3-point shots, who can extend the defense. Christina Nigwe brought a lot, but that's one thing she did not bring.
And Kurt Miller wanted to make it clear that trade had no reflection whatsoever on Christina Nigwe. He really believes she's going to be a good player in this league. Courtney Williams from deep on the left side. But he just felt at this time, at this point, with the Sun having an opportunity to go for it, that was the right move to make. That was a beautiful pass from Dietrich. Found Mosqueda Lewis, and Kurt Miller did not like what he saw right there. He doesn't like the start to the second quarter for the Sun. A Sun 8-point lead is gone. Early in the second quarter, we're all leaving at 21, and we're back after this. Well, not a good start to the second quarter for the Sun. They have been outscored 4-0. In fact, Seattle's in the middle of a 6-0 run. Let's check in with the third member of our crew. Here's Robin Brown.
Well, Bob, still waiting on a report from Connecticut's athletic trainer on Rachel Banham. But in the meantime, I did step inside Kurt Miller's last huddle, and he said, guys, there is no strategy here. We are just being outplayed. The focus and energy needs to rise. You guys are the only ones out there, so you have to make a choice.
All right, thanks, Robin. And Natasha Howard gives the Storm their first lead of the game.
And Robin always knows that I like when she steps inside the huddle. The only way it can be better is if she moonwalks her way back out of it next time out.
Boy, the gauntlet is down. Well, the Sun remain in this drought as Mosqueda Lewis hits a three. And what a run that the Storm have put together. They were down 21-15 late in the third quarter, and they have now outscored the Sun 11-0.
It's been their bench. Their bench is outscoring Connecticut's bench.
The Sun, who led by as many as 8, down 5, and 4 to shoot. Tough delivery there from Jasmine Thomas. Indeed, the bench of Lloyd, Mosqueda Lewis, Crystal Langhorne, and Blake Dietrich have turned the tide for Seattle. No Jordan Canada. She's out with an injury. I don't know if she's not available, but you would presume she is not available as Langhorne hits another three. That's back-to-back threes for Seattle.
Jordan Canada is available, but it's sort of like a break glass in case of emergency kind of situation.
Good way of putting it, yep. In the meantime, you see the foul stop play at the other end as we check it again with Robin Brown.
Bob, I did get the word that Rachel Banham is being evaluated right now by the team doctor, but as a precautionary reason, she will not return to the game tonight.
Probably the safe way to go, Rebecca.
Yeah.
She definitely was in a little distress there when she came off the floor. Play it safe. Hopefully it's not serious, and maybe get her back on Sunday. And the Sun played Dallas, and Sun all out of sorts right now. Once leading by as many as 8, that was 19-11 in the first quarter. They're now down by 8 and have yet to score. 3 minutes gone by in quarter number 2. Good defensive play there by Alyssa Thomas. Lost the handle, gets it back. Alyssa Thomas takes the feed from Holmes and has it blocked by Blake Dietrich from behind. And the Connecticut foul in the backcourt.
Veteran foul by Shakina Strickland, right. Understanding she didn't want to give up the 2 points the other way, especially with Seattle on the run that they've been on. Blake Dietrich has played well. Both ends of the floor off the bench for Seattle.
Yeah, she hadn't seen playing time in a while before she got in the other night against Washington, and earned more playing time tonight as Langhorne tries to blow by, and after the release, the Connecticut foul. So it'll stay at the Seattle end.
Nice job by Crystal Langhorne to challenge Jonquel Jones defensively. You know, the officials, the crowd doesn't like it because the officials were a little bit late calling it, but that was a foul.
Yeah, you can clearly see in the replay that the contact was there. You're right. The crowd had a problem with the fact that the whistle blew late, but Langhorne misses the first free throw. And this is a pretty good free throw shooting team. 80% on the year. But they've missed 3 already tonight. Now Jones checks out. 3 fouls on her. So that last foul, that's a costly turn of events for the Connecticut Sun. They've been shut out so far in the second quarter. Brianna Jones checked in, and she scores the first 2 points for the Sun. So Jones gets a foul trouble. Her replacement finally breaks the ice here for the Sun in quarter 2.
Great job by Brianna Jones. You know, her minutes have been limited this season, especially, when Igwe came here and took away some of her opportunity. And it's offensive foul. Yeah. But for Brianna Jones to come in and demand the ball and to score the way she did is a good sign for her. Yeah, because Shakina Strickland raises her arm and creates the contact, especially with where it went to the neck of Mosqueda Lewis, the officials are going to have to call that.
And it was right in front of them.
Yeah. Yeah, that's part of it, too.
Well, Dietrich has had a real impact on this game off of the bench for Seattle. Lloyd, who came off of the bench, fires it for Mosqueda Lewis. Tough 3. Sun down 7. Bria Holmes off the hesitation. Offensive foul.
Connecticut has the right mentality right now, the attack mentality, trying to get in the paint. In the first quarter, they were so good getting touches in the paint and then making decisions off of that. But Seattle has done a really good job of getting back defensively. Yes, that's good position by Jewel Lloyd. Connecticut trying to attack, but they haven't been rewarded the last 2 times down the floor because of offensive fouls.
Reach in and the steal. Alyssa Thomas, one player to beat, and she steps right past Dietrich and will go to the line to shoot a pair.
Yeah, I love the Euro step. What a beautiful move by Alyssa Thomas. I mean, so often we've seen from her defense leading to offense. She's 3rd in the WNBA in steals per game. Just a great job getting around the defender.
And Alyssa, who was only 1 for 7 in the win the other night at Phoenix from the free throw line, makes the first one here. Keisha Heidemann into the game now off of the bench for Connecticut.
Heidemann becomes even more important knowing that Banham won't return tonight.
Brianna Jones comes away with it and then went out of bounds, so it'll go back to Seattle.
There's certain players who you just root for to do well, and for me, she's one of them. It's a tough situation. She struggled a little early in the season, lost her place in the rotation as a result, and, just continues to fight and work, and I want success for that young lady.
Sammy Whitcomb off for the fake. Courtney Paris in the game, takes it from Whitcomb. That was a nice setup by Whitcomb. Seattle by 8. Thomas gathers in that pass from Bria Holmes to go to the line again.
Alyssa Thomas has played really well so far in this game. Defensively, she's getting steals, getting out in transition. That was a tough catch right there for her to make and then gather and have a chance at the shot. Ball's thrown a little bit behind her. Doesn't matter.
That's where her strength pays off, too. The fact that she was able to gather that tough pass in.
And keep her balance.
Right.
That's a hard thing to do.
So she's back on the foul line. 1 out of 2 last time.
How many points has Connecticut scored this quarter?
That would be, well, now that she has just missed that free throw, 4 points. And they only have one bucket so far. A couple of made free throws and one made basket from Brianna Jones.
Would that qualify as an anemic second quarter so far?
That word definitely works as Crystal Langhorne turns it over. Yeah, anemic works.
Good defense by Brianna Jones. Man, it is hard. It is hard to. She's only played in 18 of the games this year, 7 minutes a game. It's hard to be effective when your time is limited, and she just continues to work.
If you're just joining us, she's in the game because Jonquel Jones is on the bench with 3 fouls in his first half. Heidemann has her pass kicked away. So we reset it to 14. A little more than 4 minutes to go in this first half. And it has been a seesaw battle. Sun led by as many as 8 in the first quarter, and they've trailed by as many as 8. Alyssa Thomas pushes it up. Brianna Jones almost kept it alive. Tried to keep it alive by bouncing it off a Seattle Storm player, and turns out that the Sun will get it back anyway.
And right now, the lineup that Seattle has on the floor, it's a favorable one for Brianna Jones because her lack of quickness isn't going to be exposed by Courtney Paris.
Heidemann straight away. 3-point shot has not been there tonight for the Sun. They have missed 6 of their 7. Another turnover on Seattle. Guess who took it away? Brianna Jones took it away, but then the Sun give it right back.
Okay, Brianna Jones defending out on the perimeter. I see ya.
Jewel Lloyd, the 3.
Nice luxury for Seattle to be able to continue to bring Jewel Lloyd in off the bench.
Just exactly what I was about to say. That is a luxury is what they have with her coming off the bench. They don't like the reason why, as she continues to get up to full speed from her injury earlier this season.
And she struggled a bit in her return since returning from the injury. And I was asking Dan Hughes about that before the game, and he said, her ankle injury was serious, and it's normally an 8-week recovery process. She came back in 6. And he feels like, next week is about the point where it's been 2 months. He feels like she'll really then get into her groove and be back to 100% in terms of her comfort level on the floor.
Yeah, I read where Coach Hughes said that given another chance, he would not have allowed her to return so quickly. Thomas again, 1 out of 2 from the line. So this is a second quarter offensively for the Sun so far to forget. Just one hoop. One hoop, free throws, and that's been it. Now, at the risk of sounding like I'm making an excuse for them, this is a difficult turnaround. This is almost like a continuation of a road trip. When you're on the road for 4 games, and then you travel cross country yesterday, come back tonight, you're still on that other body clock. It's tough. But you know what? I guarantee they won't make that excuse, and we still have a lot of basketball to be played here. Under 3 to go in this first half. Sun trying to come back. So the Sun trying to find some answers here with 2:43 to go in this first half. They built their largest lead of 8 points late in the first quarter. It was 19-11 Connecticut. And now they find themselves down by 9. And you see, Rebecca, one of the big differences in this game so far is the play of the respective benches.
The bench turned the tide for Seattle at the beginning of the second quarter. They were terrific. Their ability to continue to execute, especially on the offensive end. In Connecticut, they've gotten some decent looks. They're just struggling. Had a couple turnovers because of offensive fouls. Very different rhythm than we saw from them in the first quarter.
All the points except for 2, which belong to Natasha Howard, in the second quarter for Seattle have come from their bench. Bria Holmes for Jones. In traffic, got off the shot. Ball poke loose, one to shoot. Holmes knows it and banks it home. Well, it took that kind of a play for the Sun to finally get a 3 in this quarter, but they'll take it, gets them back into this game. Clark has a good look. Short. Like that crazy play there on the three-pointer by Holmes to beat the buzzer as giving the Sun a jolt of energy here. Here's Jones. Thought she was fouled. Ball gets knocked out of bounds.
As much as anything, not just a jolt of energy for Connecticut, sometimes it lets you exhale. I mean, the players know that they've been anemic offensively in the second quarter, that they haven't been able to get a shot to fall, and something like that happens, it can help you relax.
10 to shoot, Sun down by 6. Holmes. Thomas was defended well there, and Seattle has it back. Howard off of the fake. What a drive. What a finish.
6'4". The agility and quickness of a much smaller player.
Puts the Storm up by 8. Swing it around for Strickland. The 3 is good. Shakina Strickland hits her first 3 of the quarter, her second of the game. Sun down by 5.
Credit Natisha Heidemann for the baseline drive that made the defense shift and got Strickland the open look.
Howard, the jump hook over Thomas. She hits it, and she was fouled.
The patience. That's a tough matchup for Alyssa Thomas just because she gives up a couple inches to Natasha Howard. Howard recognizes it, backs her down.
So Howard's to the line looking for her 13th point. Third leading scorer in the league. Misses the free throw. She averages almost 19 per game. A dozen in this one as Thomas kicks out. Holmes, high arcing 3. Airmailed that one. The chase is on. Heidemann kept it alive, then it was taken away by Lloyd. And Lloyd puts it through. 25 seconds to go in the quarter as Heidemann splits defenders, put it up, and it's wow. Got knocked away. I was actually screamed out. Yeah, it was last touched by Seattle, or we're going back to Seattle. A little confusion.
There was a lot of contact initially, and so that's why, even if it did go off of Heidemann, I thought they were going to give the ball to Connecticut. And yeah, they've reversed the call. So that's a situation, if the officials don't call the foul, doesn't matter who if it goes off on. You got to give them the ball back.
Well, looks like Kurt Miller has been teed up. It is a technical foul on Kurt. He was really all fired up there during that last sequence where there was some confusion on the possession and the lack of a non-foul call. And a frustrating quarter for the Sun, and it boils over there in the form of the Kurt Miller tee, and Jewel Lloyd puts through the free throw. We're 18 seconds away from halftime, and it'll be an interesting locker room there for Connecticut at the half. Inbound goes to Holmes. Banks it up, banks it through. So a shot clock off here with 10 seconds to go in the first half. Good pass. Russell to another big, Howard.
Seattle's a great team in terms of cutting off the ball.
Nice play by Clark. Kept it alive for Lloyd, and the circus shot drops, and Howard intercepts. Wouldn't have counted had it dropped, but what a frenetic finish to that half, and it goes at the advantage of the Seattle Storm. So just as the Sun were getting a little bit energized there at the end of the half, Clark the tip, Lloyd kisses it home. Those will end up being the last points of a first half that the Sun are more than happy to put in their rear view mirror. That was a rough scoring second quarter for the Sun. Only 15 points in that second quarter for Connecticut as they look to regroup here at the half. And standing by to talk about it, Alyssa Thomas is with Robin.
Alyssa, in Coach Miller's huddle, he said there's no strategy tonight, just energy and focus. How do you guys raise the intensity in the second half?
I mean, I think we do have energy. We need to focus on our strategy and what the game plan is and execute that. So right now I think we are playing hard, but we got to do a better job stopping their players.
Just 4 baskets offensively in that second quarter. How do you turn things up offensively?
We got to adjust to how they're calling the game. We got to finish strong. We are getting good looks at the basket, but just miss it right now. So it just comes down to us focusing.
Thanks, AT.
Thank you.
Bob?
All right, thanks, Robin. The Sun shoot 38% in that first half. Alyssa Thomas has 11 points. Didn't help Connecticut that Jonquel Jones missed a lot of that second quarter. Sat with 3 fouls. Sun in comeback mode, down 12 as we break for the half. Well, halftime's over now. The Connecticut Sun try and regroup here in the second half. Find themselves down 12 to the Seattle Storm. Seattle swept the season series from Connecticut last year, and they were one of the only teams to win in this building last year. And then, of course, Seattle went on and won themselves a double-team NBA championship. Rachel Banham hurt her left leg. Not sure of the specific injury, but she's not available the rest of the night for Connecticut. And Jordan Canada is available, but we probably will not be seeing her for Seattle because of a shoulder injury. We were talking about how the Sun rarely lose in this building. Best home record in the league. The team fifth on that list, Rebecca. A week from tonight, we are looking forward to that matchup. Now, not trying to get ahead of ourselves. You have this game and Dallas on Sunday, but that game next Friday night against Las Vegas, that looms as one of the biggest regular season games in the league this year.
Well, and with the playoff format and how tight things are right now, every game is so vitally important. Yeah, when you're playing a team that's either right above or right below you in the standings, of course, matters.
Here the Sun have one thing on their mind, and that is trying to come back against the Seattle Storm. Jones with 3 fouls in there to start the second half, and she has the first points of the second half.
I always enjoy seeing what coaches draw up. Wow, Natasha Howard wasn't over half court. It's an over and back. But seeing what coaches draw up to run first time down the floor offensively after the half. And, of course, no surprise, Kurt Miller drew up a play to get Jonquel Jones the ball on the block.
Kurt Miller got teed up late in that first half, and it was an emotion-charged first half as Jones takes it in the paint, had it knocked away, and there's a Connecticut turnover. Whitcomb for Howard. They reset. Howard sets the screen. Whitcomb with 10 to shoot. Shavante Zealous got the start tonight. Howard has it rejected by Jones, and Alyssa Thomas comes away with it. Hesitating, spinning, bouncing, and Williams puts it through. What a play at both ends.
That was really nice basketball from one end to the other.
I mean, you just take that, whatever it was, 8 to 10 second capsule, and that's one of your highlights of the season. And another turnover on Seattle. Thomas for Courtney Williams, and Jazz tried to keep it alive. Jasmine Thomas knew that was a dangerous pass when she let it go, originally looking to find Courtney Williams. And here's that previous sequence set up by That block.
I mean, Natasha Howard has great explosiveness, but Jonquel Jones right there, and then Alyssa Thomas, we know how good she is, coming down and perfect pass.
And she does it again. This time knocks it away from Clark. Jonquel Jones, the blocks leader, energizing the Sun here to start the third quarter. That would have brought the house down had that three gone down from Jones. Sun down a dozen at the half. They scored the first 4 points of the second half. On the back door, Clark takes the delivery from Howard. Those are the first two of the third quarter for Seattle. Deep three, Strickland. Raises the rim. This is the veteran Shavante Zealous up the sideline. Her best scoring game of the season came here at the Mohegan in June when she had 14 points in a loss against Connecticut. Whitcomb off the Russell screen. The Sun read it, and now the steal. Jasmine Thomas picked it off. Drives hard the other end. Too hard on that layup attempt, but is kept alive. Courtney Williams resets it for Thomas. One bouncing inside for Alyssa. Thomas fades away. Kisses it home. So three different Connecticut Sun players have scored in this third quarter as they try and scratch their way back into it. Here's another steal. Courtney Williams all the way, scoops it through, and the Sun are within 6.
What we didn't see in the second quarter, stops, steals, and then transition buckets. That's where Connecticut thrives.
Well, the momentum has shifted, and Dan Hughes over on the Seattle bench decides it's a good time to call for a timeout. So we'll take one as well. Courtney Williams, 2 of her 4 in this quarter. The Sun down 6. The reason Jonquel Jones is an MVP candidate is because she gets it done at both ends.
And this is one area where she's really improved from a season ago, leading the WNBA in block shots. And that's a hard player to block, is Natasha Howard, because of her explosiveness. And you see the numbers here. It's weird not seeing Brittany Griner at the top of the shot block statistics.
You know, Kurt Miller was talking to us about Jonquel Jones, and he said that was an element of her game he didn't really think that she could excel in, and obviously he has pleasantly proven him incorrect. She turned into a great rim protector.
He said the next spot for her growth is scoring in traffic when she has got bodies coming at her in the paint, still having the ability to finish.
That's Jones with the ball. Courtney Williams. Alyssa Thomas threading the needle. Nice pass on the bounce to Strickland. What a pass from Jonquel Jones, and Strickland rewards Jonquel with the 3 to make it a 3-point game.
And a great decision that time in traffic with bodies around her.
Jewel Lloyd gets free.
She's looking closer and closer to full speed, Jewel Lloyd.
That is the second time you have read my mind. Exactly what I was going to say. She's looking like, yes, 100% Jewel Lloyd. Contact there. Where are we going? Staying at the Connecticut end. Breast Health Awareness Weekend inside the Mohegan Sun, and the Connecticut Sun with the pink stripes down the sides of the uniform. Courtney Williams trapped. Shot clock winding down. Jasmine Thomas wide open. And a 3. 2-point game. And the Sun made only 3 threes the entire first half. They already have 2 here in the third quarter. Almost taken away. Howard is fouled, and she hits. Well, Courtney Williams made the mistake, came out and tried to challenge the much longer Natasha Howard, and now a possible 3-point play for the Storm.
Natasha Howard, so good one-on-one. Or did they get Alyssa Thomas on the elbow? Who's the foul called on?
It was Alyssa Thomas. I thought they got Courtney as she went with the jab there. But it was Alyssa. And that is, let's see, third on her. Let's see, so you got Alyssa Thomas with 3 and Jonquel Jones with 3 for Connecticut. And nobody with more than 2 for Seattle. As we'll now jump it up. Summer down by 12 at the half, and off of that bang play following the jump, Natasha Howard comes out of a crowd. So she has scored 5 quick points, and with a 7-point Seattle lead. Alicia Clark almost had the steal. Williams thought about it. Now a long 2, foot on the line, way off the mark, and Howard yanks down the rebound. Her 5th. To go along with 19 points for the MVP candidate. That's Clark. Pretty. Now Seattle's on another run. 7 unanswered. And it all started with that conventional 3-point play from Natasha Howard. Well, Courtney Williams was trying to find Jonquel Jones. Instead, the steal and the bucket from Jewel Lloyd. And a 9-0 run for Seattle leads to a Connecticut timeout. And we'll keep it right here. And you got an example right there in that last play of what Seattle does better than anybody. A quarter of their points come off of opponents' turnovers.
Active hands by Jewel Lloyd. It results in buckets the other way. And the way the momentum has swung, Connecticut was getting stops on the defensive end, and it was leading to transition and scores. And now it's Seattle who's doing the same thing, having their defense lead to their offense.
We've been talking MVP candidates for Connecticut. You have Jonquel Jones for Seattle. You have Natasha Howard. You're looking at the list there, Rebecca. What do you like on that list?
Oh, I like them all. I think right now the favorite, I think, is Elena Delle Donne. Not only because of what she's doing it, but also because her team is in first place. And I think most voters take your place of finish into consideration. But all of these players, depending on how they finish out this regular season, are in serious consideration for the MVP award.
And we're certainly enjoying watching 2 of them go head-to-head here tonight. Jonquel Jones was hampered by foul trouble in the first half, and that has limited her to 4 points and a couple of rebounds.
Who do you like on that MVP list?
I would go along with you. I think the factors that you listed, most notably, Elena Delle Donne is doing it for a team that right now is considered to be the cream of the crop. And she's just putting up, her numbers you expect, but she is the leader of a team that right now is considered the one to beat. I tell you what, though, you can't go wrong with a lot of those names.
Yeah, that's true.
In fact, this Seattle team played Washington the other night, and I was surprised by the fact that it was a pretty decisive Washington win, despite the fact Delle Donne had a relatively quiet 14, and Christy Tolliver didn't play.
The guards for Washington were terrific in that game, including their big Tiana Hawkins had a monster second quarter. That team has a lot of offensive weapons.
Yeah, Ariel Powers and Ariel Atkins both had great games the other night. And
Tasha Cloud, too, yeah.
Meanwhile, we come back to the Connecticut end as Thomas gives up for Strickland with the shot clock under 10. Good D here from Seattle. Thomas forced into a difficult shot. Courtney Williams almost soared and picked that one off. It's been a while since the Sun have scored. It was a 2-point game at 50-48. Sun haven't scored since, and the run continues as Alicia Clark kisses one home. And all of a sudden, Seattle's up by 13.
That was a beautiful floater. She saw Jonquel Jones' long arm coming.
And because of the near turnover there, Courtney Williams decided to use better discretion to call for a timeout. But boy, the Sun really in a lull right here, Rebecca, as you get another look at that last bucket by Clark.
Nice dribble handoff, and Jonquel Jones comes over as the help side defender, but Clark just floats it up over the outstretched arm. Really enjoy watching Alicia Clark play. Talk about efficiency. 2 of her games in the last 4, she's been perfect from the floor, including 3-point attempts.
You get your look at a September to remember. Rock the Pink on Sunday, and then also on Sunday, Jasmine Thomas post-game dinner to benefit the Kay Yow Foundation. Looking forward to not only that game we talked about being a big game against Las Vegas. Lindsay Whalen's number is going to be retired, and it's always great to see her back in the house as Strickland puts up a 3, and that is a big bucket for Connecticut.
How she shoots and her ability to score often coincides with Connecticut's ability to win basketball games.
That bucket by Strickland was the first in 3 minutes. First points for the Sun in 3 minutes as Thomas is tripped by Howard. Let's see, that's only their first. Boy, each team only with 1 team foul in this third quarter up until that point.
You did the promo for the Rock the Pink game on Sunday. We've got the Rock the Pink tonight. Do you own more than 1 pink tie?
No.
So are we going to see it again on Sunday?
Either that or I think maybe it's time to do a little tie shopping.
There you go. Well, we'll see on Sunday.
Strickland hits, and she is fouled. So she hit a long-distance 3 a few moments ago. Now a possible 3-point play the old-fashioned way.
Well, when you're guarding Shekinna Strickland, you, of course, have to honor her ability to hit threes and deep threes. And she does a great job, gets a step on the defender, so takes it all the way to the basket.
It's a rare occurrence there for Shekinna Strickland. Almost 80% of her points come from behind the arc. A couple of points in the paint, +1 for Strickland. Sketta Lewis for Russell. Has it rejected by Jones, and the Sun have it back. Courtney Williams to the other end. Jones was trailing after the block. Now she hands off for Strickland. Bounce pass from Courtney Williams, and the whistle blows, and the foul on Seattle inside with 1:13 remaining in this third quarter.
I mean, Jonquel Jones has been stellar. That's a big, long offensive player in Mercedes Russell, and Jonquel Jones isn't having any of it. They only have her for 3 blocks. It feels to me like she has 4.
I have a feeling that when they look at the tape and finalize that box score, you might see another one on there, but she's had quite the night protecting the rim. She is the blocks leader in the league, averaging over 2 per game. 6-point game. Exactly a minute to go in this third quarter. That 3-pointer is missed by Jeter, but kept alive, and Howard right there on the spot puts it through, and Howard having another huge scoring night. 21 points, and we're still a full quarter to go in this game.
And man, Seattle makes you work on the defensive end of the floor, the way they move the ball, switch side to side, and then get an offensive rebound to boot.
Oh, what a 3-pointer falling down. Shekinna Strickland puts it through. That's her third 3 of the quarter, and the degree of difficulty in that one was off the charts. 5-point game. Sketta Lewis backs up for a 3. Going to go the other way, and the Sun will have 16 seconds to try and continue this late quarter charge. They were down by 13 points, 61-48, but they are on a 10-2 run. And trying to end this quarter on a positive note here on this possession with Jasmine Thomas zigzagging into the front court. There's Strickland. She's feeling it, but that time she got ahead of herself, and she'll give the ball back to Seattle with 3 4/10 seconds remaining. From midcourt, boy, Jewel Lloyd didn't miss by much. Well, the Storm led by 12 at the half, led by as many as 13 in this third quarter, but a late third quarter run, including this fall away three-pointer from Strickland, has the Sun within 5. Some game, the Connecticut Sun were down by as many as 13 late in the third quarter, under 2.5 to go in the quarter, when the Sun found themselves down 61-48, but then Shekinah Strickland went on a tear. She scored 9 points, 2 long-distance threes, then a conventional three-point play, and that was part of a 10-2 run for the Sun to end that quarter. So here we go, Rebecca, brand new game, 5-point game as we start the fourth. This has been fun.
Yeah, it has. Two teams that kind of like the free-flowing offense and moving the ball around the floor, having a lot of players touch it. Fun basketball to watch.
Seattle ball to start the fourth quarter. Lloyd works off the screen. Howard picked and popped and scores. She's having another night. 23 points for the MVP candidate. The June Player of the Month in the WNBA out of the West. Shot clock down to 9 as Thomas with the straightaway jumper, no good. Jonquel Jones uses the long arms to outreach Howard. That's not easy to do as now Thomas drives, kisses it, no good. Alyssa Thomas, the putback is good. Nobody does it better than Alyssa Thomas on the offensive glass. Sun down 5. Howard working on Thomas, shoots over her and puts it through. She is feeling it. 25 points for Howard.
That's pretty good defense by Alyssa Thomas, too. That's a superior offense by Howard.
Five to shoot for Connecticut. Jonquel Jones, tough shot. Made a great move. Loose ball foul, and it's going to stay right there. We'll see who they got on Seattle. By the way, Shekinah Strickland, as you get another look at that last loose ball foul, will be called on Sammy Whitcomb. Strickland, a 20-point game, 20 points exactly as she inbounds. Courtney Williams, long distance, 2 is good.
Relatively a quiet night for Courtney Williams up to this point, but in a couple minutes stretch, she can score a bunch.
Turnover, Thomas to Courtney, has it blocked. Oh, what a block by Howard, and Seattle has it back. Impressive because she not only blocked it, she got the ball back to her team. Langhorn defended well, drives at Jonquel Jones. Collision. Alyssa Thomas is down. She and Mosqueda Lewis collided hard, and Alyssa Thomas got the worst of it. Lewis is going to get called on the foul, and the Sun have already lost one player tonight to injury. That's Rachel Banham. As you see the collision there, that's big-time contact between Mosqueda Lewis and Alyssa Thomas. And Alyssa Thomas, strong, sturdy, and walking it off slowly. The player the Sun lost earlier in this game was Rachel Banham to a leg injury. Don't have the specific injury just yet. We were told, though, in the first half that she would not return to the game.
In a description that every woman wants someone to use for them, strong and sturdy. She has to come out of the game, I think because of the amount of time she spent on the floor, but she's going to be going right back in.
So the Sun have it, trailing by 5 after leading earlier in this game by as many as 11. Now there'll be a foul on Howard, and Tuck is in the game now for Connecticut.
A smart job by Shekinna Strickland. She recognizes Crystal Langhorne as the one who has switched out on her, so she takes it to the basket. Finds herself at the free throw.
Yep, and it's Mosqueda Lewis on the foul again. See the numbers for Strickland. 21 points now for Strickland. And Alyssa Thomas checks right back in. Told you she was sturdy. We knew she was strong. 2 out of 2 for Strickland. She's having a great game. She made 5 threes. She's perfect from the free throw line. 3 for 3. 1 possession game. Sun D up. Shot clock under 10. Langhorne has nowhere to go, so she throws it off for Howard. 2-1. Lloyd chucks it up. Sun have it back. Great defensive sequence. Probably the best of the night for Connecticut. And now they have a chance maybe to tie this game. Not that way. Jasmine Thomas threw it away. Sun do get back defensively. There's a trap for Howard, and it pays dividends. A turnover on Seattle. Connecticut has it back. Down 3. Strickland for the tie. Raised the rim. Langhorne comes away with it. Storm trying to survive a high turnover game. They have 18 in this one. Again, the shot clock inside 10 for Seattle. And Clark got tangled up there with Strickland. And Strickland's going to get called on the personal foul. We'll check her total. That'll be her 3rd.
Yeah, and the way she's shooting the basketball, Connecticut cannot afford to have her in foul trouble. Strick tries to get around Alicia Clark, but she wrapped her up with the left arm as well.
Jonquel Jones is going to get a blow here as Brianna Jones checks in. Turnover, number 19 on Seattle. Here comes Alyssa Thomas, coast to coast. Good defensive play by Alicia Clark. Great play. Now the Sun will have to try again, this time on the baseline inbound. 20 to shoot. 6:11 to go in the 4th quarter. Jasmine Thomas having trouble. And she indeed gets called on the 5 seconds. So we mentioned 19 turnovers on Seattle. That'll be 14. Make that 15 on Connecticut. Storm by 3. Reach and foul on Thomas. That'll be the 2nd team foul on Connecticut. And that foul will bring us to our first stop of play here in the 4th quarter. Under 6 to go in a close one. Seattle on top of Connecticut by...
Welcome back to Mohegan Sun Arena. We've touched on apparel this season, but what we have yet to focus on is Connecticut's shoe game, not only fostering creativity, but using their kicks as a way of expression. You see here Rachel Banham, who showcased her new pair of custom kicks when the team was on the road in her home state of Minnesota, paying tribute to both her parents and grandfather who served on the police force. than Jasmine Thomas, whose mom, Sharon, was diagnosed with breast cancer when she was in college at Duke, but 9 years later is cancer-free and in the building tonight, celebrating the Suns' Rock the Pink night. More of an inside look, you can follow us on all of our social channels at Connecticut Sun. But Bob, I will say, I don't think anything compared to the retro Reebok signature shoe, the Lobo, that was released for Becca's rookie season.
The Lobo. Retro.
I just need to hear you, Bob, say at some point, shoe game, when you talk about what's on the feet of the players.
That's coming. It has to. As Thomas comes up short on that one. Caught by Courtney. Here is Strickland. Loose ball foul. See what we got here. It's going to go back to Seattle.
Yeah, I think that's on Shakina Strickland. She was really in the back of Alicia Clark trying to get offensive rebounding position.
Her fourth. You see the total fouls.
All right, this is quite a game.
It really is. We're almost midway through the fourth quarter, and each team has had double-digit leads in this one as Howard can't knock that long-distance shot down. Crystal Langhorne has been a force off of the bench. She's been a real presence for them.
She's a veteran who knows what her team needs from her, and she's been really good the last couple of possessions.
She has the last 4 in the game and now has 10 double digits off of the bench for Seattle. Alyssa Thomas, tough shot, doesn't go down. Langhorne has the rebound. To go along with the 10 points, Langhorne now has 7 rebounds, matching her season high. Loose ball. Brianna Jones is tied up. It's going to be a jump ball.
Brianna Jones certainly has made the most of her minutes so far in this game tonight. What a hustle by the big girl.
Yeah, she'll have the floor burns to prove it. You could hear it from our courtside table.
Floor burns, messy ponytail. She's working.
Giving Jonquel Jones a couple of more minutes on the bench as we come down the stretch here at the Mohegan. Jump ball won by Connecticut, so the hard work by Brianna Jones pays off in a possession for the Sun. They're down by 7. Strickland 3. Off the second chance, here's Alyssa Thomas. Courtney Williams from the foul line, and she's money. Sun down by 5. Williams now has 9. 4 minutes to play. Langhorne, good fake on Jones, who committed the foul. That was a foul on the floor. Brianna Jones bid on the fake. This Seattle bench has been a difference maker in this game as you get another look at that last foul, but Langhorne gets fouled on this play. She has 10 points for a bench. That's 31 points.
Ooh. Didn't call that a shooting foul.
Yeah, and the foul came, the indication came right away. Foul on the floor.
Yeah.
See that the bench outscored Connecticut's 31-9 as Alyssa Thomas comes away with it. Another turnover on Seattle. It'll be their 21st. And that would have been a big shot, but there's Jonquel Jones back in the game to clean up to make this a 3-point game. No, Jones is back in there and see if she can make her presence felt. The home stretch, Whitcomb 3. No good. She does not have a 3-pointer in this game. Unusual for her lately.
That's her specialty.
Dangerous pass. Alyssa Thomas kept it alive. Jones 7 to shoot. Williams for Jones, has it blocked by Howard. Wow. Well, we've been seeing a lot of great blocks from both of those MVP candidates. Jonquel Jones has her share in this game, and Howard just came away with her third block.
Those were two spectacular blocks. The one we saw in the first half by
man.
JJ, and then that one there.
The fake shot, but then the pass went to Jasmine Thomas, whose foot was on the baseline. So Courtney Williams got a little too fancy there. And the Sun give it up. That's their 16th turnover. Under 3 to play. Ball knocked loose. Another turnover. Courtney Williams feeds it there for Alyssa. Has to gather it in. Gets for the trailer. Jasmine Thomas. Three-pointer. No good. Another loose ball foul. And it's going to be against Connecticut. And the Sun are now in the penalty. So these will be free throws coming up for Seattle. 2:40 to go in a one-possession game. But Seattle will head to the free throw line when we come back. Now here's the foul that put the Sun in a penalty. Loose ball foul after that Jasmine Thomas miss led to the scramble.
That's a tough one because it doesn't look like Jonquel Jones extends her arms to make Crystal Langhorne go down. But I think that's a little bit of the new world of the WNBA. We talked about it earlier in the telecast after the fight last weekend. Things are being called a little bit more tightly, but this game hasn't been gone overboard. There are 48 personal fouls called in the Connecticut game against Phoenix, and tonight so far, 28.
We talk about how Langhorne's had a good game off of the bench. The veteran now has 11 points. Trying to make it 5 out of 6 from the free throw line, and she's successful. Big points for Seattle. 5-point lead for the Storm, who are trying to pull off the upset here against the Connecticut Sun. Trying to become only the second opposing team to win in this building this year. Jasmine Thomas, tough shot. Kept alive by Jonquel. Gathers it in, put it up, and now she'll go to the line. Great job by Jonquel Jones to give the Sun a second chance, and it ends up she'll try and cash in herself.
Yeah, the offense had broken down. Jasmine Thomas looked like she took a shot just because she felt she had to, but Jonquel Jones saving the play by going to the line.
Quiet scoring night for Jonquel. 6 points, and on her first free throw attempt of the night, spins out. Alyssa Thomas has a double-double tonight, 15 and 10, her fourth double-double of the season. 1 out of 2 for Jones. Sun down by 4. Clark bouncing it into the post. Natasha Howard working on Alyssa Thomas. Throws out of the double team for Langhorne. Up top, Lloyd. 5 to shoot. Lloyd creates her own long 2. Way off the mark. Howard, the rebound. Beautiful pass to Langhorne. That was nicely done. And the Storm lead by 6. Courtney Williams. Quick shot didn't go, and another loose ball foul, and this will go back to Seattle, and free throws coming up. But how about that last play by Natasha Howard? Rebound, pass, Langhorne finishes, and at the other end you see a foul that's going to allow Seattle to try and expand on this lead. Time a big factor now for the Sun. 1:47 to go. Seattle was one of the few teams to come into this building and win last year. That was with Brianna Stewart and Sue Bird on the floor. There's a Seattle team that lost to the Sun on this floor earlier this season. 81-67, but trying to pull off the upset here tonight.
Sure, Lloyd coming into this game 96% from the free throw line.
Doesn't go, and the rebound is lost. And we're going to look at this. Some question as to who should have possession here within the final 2 minutes, and they can take a look. But you mentioned Jewel Lloyd relative to the missed free throw, but what a bench they have with her coming off of the bench right now, and Langhorne. You have Jewel Lloyd, an all-WNBA performer, and Crystal Langhorne, who was a two-time All-Star. Those are two nice pieces to bring off of the bench. And keep in mind that this is a Seattle team that is without Jordan Canada, their point guard.
This is a Seattle team that, not many people expected to have the success they've had so far this season after what they lost in Sue Bird and Brianna Stewart.
Here's your upcoming Sun schedule. Not very forgiving. Now, Dallas is coming in on Sunday. They're playing right now. They had a big win against Los Angeles recently.
Enrique Gumbawale, 35 points in that win over L.A.
And then the Sun have a huge matchup a week from tonight against Las Vegas, and then back on the road, kicks off that trip with a game at Los Angeles. You look at that upcoming schedule for the Sun, the Dallas team that's certainly capable. And then Las Vegas and Los Angeles, it casts more light on the importance of a game here that might be getting away from Connecticut.
It's so important in the WNBA when you're trying to make a playoff run and get playoff positioning to protect your home floor. It is really hard to win on the road in this league, and when you're the home team, you need to make it very hard to win on the road.
Well, they went to the replay and determined that it will be Seattle ball. So the Storm have the 7-point lead, and they have possession. And timeout is being called by Dan Hughes over on the Seattle sideline as Connecticut tries to regroup here. 1:36 remaining, and Kurt Miller talking to his team, and there's Dan Hughes huddling up for this Seattle team. He said at the beginning, you're talking about one of the great coaches in the history of this league, and Dan Hughes, and he adds another line to his life's resume: cancer survivor. This is Rock the Pink weekend inside the Mohegan Sun, and Breast Health Awareness Night for Seattle is next week, Sunday, I believe. I could be corrected on that, but it's next week when they return home, and he talks about how that means so much more to him now.
He goes in for a scan on Monday, and our thoughts and prayers with him that everything stays status quo and he continues to do well. Dan Hughes called that timeout so he could advance the ball into the front court. They still have had difficulty getting it in.
Now they're going to have to take another look. So we've had back-to-back possessions where we have needed the monitor to determine who will be in possession. Now the call on the floor is Connecticut basketball. Last time the review, the replay went against Connecticut and ended up with the Storm. The Storm returned home to play Minnesota in a couple of days. They had a tough turnaround. It gives us a chance to remind you of an August to remember.
That doesn't rhyme.
I would say that's an inside joke, but our sharp viewers might have picked up on a little rhyming earlier when we were talking about the upcoming weekend. Yeah, we got ahead of ourselves earlier. Listen, summer goes past quickly enough. We had September to remember earlier, and we corrected. It's still only August.
Even though the grocery store has the Halloween decorations and candy out, but let's tell people what the August to remember is here, Bob.
Sunday, we Rock the Pink weekend continues, presented by Yale New Haven Health. And also on Sunday, Jasmine Thomas. This will be a really good get-together. If you can be part of that, a dinner with Jasmine to benefit the Kay Yow Foundation. And then a week from tonight, big game and a big moment as Lindsay Whalen's number 13 is retired, lifted to the Raptors here at the Mohegan.
Yeah, you see the Rock the Pink game, and we were talking about you having one tie. My idea, I think you need to borrow that tie right there. Layshia Clarendon's bow tie. If you borrow her bow tie and bring matching shoe game on Sunday.
Look, I'll do the tie. The shoe thing, that might
All right.
be asking a little bit too much from this guy. Well, Connecticut did end up with possession after they went to the monitor, and see what they can do with what are very, very important possessions as we are down to just 1:26 to go in this game. And the foul stops the clock. That's to Connecticut's benefit. Sammy Whitcomb didn't like the call. That sends Jonquel Jones to the line to shoot a pair.
Still a lot of game to be played with 1:26 to go.
Jones will try and make it 2 out of 2. Successfully done. 5-point game. Far from finished just yet. And there's a turnover. Alyssa Thomas to steal. And it rolls through. And just like that, it's a one-possession game. And Jasmine Thomas, I should say Alyssa Thomas, comes away with a huge bucket for the Sun as Courtney Williams created the steal. So you never know. We had it was a long time to get to the play, which could be the sequence to remember in this game. But now all of a sudden the Sun have some momentum as you see Alyssa Thomas coming into the game among the steals leader. Courtney Williams made that play, and Alyssa Thomas the swipe, and more importantly, the bucket. And most critically for the Sun is that virtually no time expired off the clock during that sequence.
That's why it was so vitally important for Jonquel Jones to make the free throw, because that allows your defense to set up in the full court pressure. You get active hands. Cut it to a one-possession game. We said there's still a lot of time left.
And the Sun are not used to a losing feeling here in the Mohegan. They are 11-1 at home. So you knew they weren't going away. Protecting home court, obviously, is something the Sun have done well for the last few years. And we mentioned this during one of the previous breaks, how important this game is in the overall picture for the Connecticut Sun. Well, Seattle's been a really game team all night long, giving the Sun all they can handle. And they have the three-point lead and possession. There's Clark. Seattle will try and take some time off of the clock. Down to 10 to shoot for Seattle. 1:09 to go in regulation. Howard driving, defended well. 5 to shoot, and a turnover. Strickland the steal. As Howard was defended well and then threw it away. Sun down by 3. Jasmine Thomas with the right-hand dribble, knocks it down to make it a one-point game. 76-75 Seattle. The Storm trying to hang on. The Sun crowd trying to urge on the home team. Langhorne thought about it. Under 10 to shoot, 30 seconds to play in regulation. Lloyd has it knocked away by Alyssa Thomas, who comes away with it. And the Sun have a chance to go in front. Courtney Williams for the lead. Too strong, and Howard pulls down the rebound.
Got a foul.
Strickland knew it, missed her on the first attempt, and then did get a piece of Natasha Howard. So the Sun had their chance, and they may get another, but that was a golden opportunity gone by.
And especially because they've thrived in transition this season and in this game. Curt Miller's not going to call a timeout there, of course. He likes the fact that Alyssa Thomas is pushing the pace, that Courtney Williams can take it one-on-one.
Well, Natasha Howard's had a great all-around game. Double-double, 25 points, 10 rebounds, 3 for 4 from the free throw line, and she hears it as she lines up the first, and it's perfect. Connecticut has no timeouts left. As Howard sets up the second, puts it through. Well, actually, I said that because I go by the electronic box score, and sometimes that can waylay you. Connecticut obviously had one timeout left. I was about to tell you what Seattle had left, but I'm not about to make that same mistake twice. As we get a look at the overall standings, and we said at the beginning of the broadcast that Connecticut recently lost its grip on first place, but you know what? First place, second place. That's the idea here. If you finish in one of the top two spots, you will get that double bye into the league semifinals. And this game, obviously, every game is huge. And the Sun tonight have been pushed to the limit by Seattle, trying to find an answer here late.
If they can get it too early, you can take it too early. But without timeouts, if a few seconds goes off, you got to look for the three.
13 seconds. Jasmine Thomas does take the quick two to make it a one-point game.
You got to foul quickly. You got to foul quickly.
Wickham threw it away. Strickland had it. Now which way are we going to go?
And it's important what call they make on the floor because they will go to the monitor.
Yeah, they hesitated to make a decisive possession indication as Whitcomb had it deflected by Courtney Williams, and Strickland came away with it. And I believe they said initially Connecticut ball.
I believe that was the call that was made on the floor. And the reason that is important is because when they go to the monitor, it has to be clear and concise evidence in order to overrule the call that was made on the floor. And this is also important because now Kurt Miller had no timeouts left. Now he gets a chance to draw up a play because of the monitor review.
By the way, Courtney Williams has now deflected a couple of Seattle passes. She deflected that pass that led to the Alyssa Thomas hoop that brought the Sun to within 3, and she just deflected that pass which was run down by Strickland and which may ultimately give Connecticut a chance to win this game with under 6 seconds to play. So the Sun couldn't foul, and this may end up working to their benefit. They were trying to foul Whitcomb, who did a great job of eluding traffic and contact, but then threw a pass that, as we mentioned, was deflected by the quick hands of Courtney Williams, and you can see that the three officials are taking their time, and the call on the floor initially was Connecticut basketball. And so to overturn that, they need to see something decisive that would make them rule in favor of Seattle. Tiffany Bird, Tim Green, Isaac Barnett. Those are the three officials. Barnett number 16. You see Bird on the left and Tim Green pointing at the replay monitor. And now they're look like they're in the midst of the final discussion here and determination. And you see the indication, Rebecca. Boy, the Connecticut Sun have a chance. They were trying to foul. They were unsuccessful. And that may end up working to their benefit as they try and win the game here. They put a couple of more ticks on the clock. Exactly 6 seconds to go. The Sun down by 1. Jasmine Thomas to trigger for Strickland. Bounces. And then she's fouled. She was fouled by Whitcomb with 4 3/10 seconds to go. And so from the free throw line, the Sun are going to have a chance here to perhaps win this one.
Courtney Williams running a curl initially. That's the right call. Sammy Whitcomb was leaning forward with her arms.
Strickland makes the first. Shekinna Strickland on the season, 73% free throw shooter. She has tied the game and now looks to give the Sun the lead. Both are good. Sun by 1. Dan Hughes uses the timeout The Storm will be able to advance it and try and set up what would be a game-winning play for them. But what a turn of events here. Late fourth quarter at the Mohegan, where the Sun trail by as many as 7 with less than 2 minutes to go in this game.
What a performance so far in this game by Shekinna Strickland. This is a player coming into the game, had only been to the free throw line 15 times on the season, but tonight she's gotten there because she's attacked when it's been there. She's made her threes when those have been there, and now here. Look for either Natasha Howard or Jewel Lloyd to get the basketball attacking the rim.
Well, it has turned into a great game between two of the great teams in the league this year. Connecticut in second place, and Seattle comes in the playoff picture in 6th. The Storm have led by as many as 13. They led by 7 with less than 90 seconds to go. 4 seconds. And Alyssa Thomas comes away with the steal. And it's a game-winning steal as she heaves the ball in the air. The buzzer sounds and the son of one. What a win for Connecticut. This place is going crazy.